We'll call this Rockridge School Board meeting to order. Everything about tonight's meeting can be found at rockridgepublicschools.org. Tonight's agenda is located at the entrance to this room. I would ask everybody to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We let the record reflect that we have a full board here tonight. Okay. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by
I would like to have an addition to the
Okay,
agenda.
agenda.
I would like to add a discussion, sorry.
That's fine.
I'd like to add, have an addition of discussion of school board reps.
Where would you like that, please?
Anywhere you want to put it. Towards the end is fine, and everybody else doesn't have to wait around for that.
Or would, any advice from the board?
You want to do it in reports, 5.2? Have an addition as well to add?
5.2.1.
No, just 5.2. Right?
No, there is a
5.2 is the 5.2 is the Treasury report.
Oh,
5.2.1, and that would be discussion, Randy? No,
oh, I'm sorry. But I didn't-
student rep,
Yep, at what number?
5.2.1, right after the Treasurer's report.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
I'd like to add a discussion on the 1404 building.
Would you like that, Dr. Johan?
I added that at 5.2.2 if you want.
All right, 5.2.2, 1404 discussion.
And the policies are not under the consent agenda, correct? We're going through each of them individually?
That's what it looks like. It looks like it's policy's third reading.
Yeah,
Starting,
Well, there is some first too.
item 6. 6 and 7. So 6.1 is item, or policy 504, 6.2 is 515, 6.3 is 5201.
But what I'm asking, I guess, is if I want to have discussion on 504 and 520, I don't need to pull them because they're not on the consent agenda, correct? Having
That's correct.
discussion?
Correct.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Margins on these have been making them hard to read. The last few agendas, they haven't been indented like they used to be, so it's kind of looking like it's all of one thing here.
Yep.
okay.
I will amend if there is no changes, I'll amend my motion with adoptions.
Okay, so Director Reardon amended his motion.
I will second.
To adopt it. Okay, so motion by Director Reardon. Support by Director Johan. Any more discussion on the agenda? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 3. There was no, at the 5 o'clock on my tablet or my iPad, there was no, anybody signed up for public input. Unless there's somebody in the audience who wants to speak. Instead, we'll move on to item 4, consent agenda.
I just had one question. Should we do it after the motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support. I just had a question on 4.8.
Hang on. 4.8.
I was just
Okay.
wondering, I just wanted clarification that that's the correct name.
4.8.
4.8, the junior high volleyball coach?
I do believe that's spelled
Is that,
correctly.
is that the correct person's last name? Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I reached out to Chad today, but I didn't hear back, so just checking, make sure the last name was correct.
Anything else? On the consent agenda?
And I had questions on 9, 10, 11, 20,
Okay, hang on. 9, 10, 11,
21, 20.
20, 21, and 22. Okay, for the purpose of discussion. Would you like to discuss those now?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Okay, for 9, it's for a media aid position. Because we had a retirement. Okay, and I know we hired another media aid at a previous meeting. But in this situation, I had been at that other meeting, I think I asked the same question. So we don't have a media specialist position. We just have all media aids now, right?
That is correct.
And so if we, let me go back a little bit. Is there new legislation of a requirement that we have a licensed media specialist? We have a media or a library central location.
You have to be spending, they gave everybody $40,000 to be spending on media aids, and that could be media aids or media clerks. But yes, the politicians did give you extra money for this.
Not the money, but wasn't there a requirement that we had to have a licensed media specialist?
Eventually, yes.
It didn't kick in this year? What are the?
Well, you don't
parameters?
have one because it was the reason why there isn't one in Rockridge, it was actually a budget cut. Someone resigned
Right.
at some point in time, and then there was a budget reduction. So we will be looking into that with the media as far as what to do about that one. But I don't have a recommendation for you right now at this board meeting.
My question is, though, did I read the legislation right that we are required to have a licensed media specialist?
There's different ways to go about doing that. So that's why I don't want to directly answer that question right now. Yes, but there's multiple ways that you can go around that.
Okay, because, and then the second part to that is, if that's the case and we are required, instead of hiring another media aid, we should postpone and hire a licensed media specialist instead of having an extra position and have 2 people instead of 1, plus a media specialist can do a lot more than a media aid.
It's up to the board as far as what you want to do. So you had a full-time media aide resign, and so now we're recommending at this point that it be repaired with a part-time, not a full-time, media aide. And then we'll have to come back to you with another recommendation on what to do with the media position.
So you're saying this was a part-time recommendation?
Yes, this is not a full-time position.
But we had a full-time one that just resigned,
Yep.
Deb Zadney.
And the reason for that is when we were negotiating with AFSCME, because that's where these are in the AFSCME contract, everybody understood that as there were some full-time positions from the old Gilbert position, as those resigned, left, that they would most likely be replaced.
I think we do need to have that discussion and maybe postpone this because we may want to go back to a licensed media specialist, whether we're forced to or that we think it's a good idea anyway, because they are trained at certain things that if the media aides are doing that now, that were job duties of a licensed media specialist, I think we need to revisit that because now we have a larger district.
And you will be forced to revisit that because, first of all, you don't have anybody in there right now. And you are going to have to reduce the budget in the spring. So there's different ways to do that. And at this moment in time, we're thinking this is the smartest thing to do for right now.
By doing a part-time aide right now.
For right now.
Well,
Because there's nobody overseeing.
There's nobody
there now.
and is this a particular building?
High school.
Oh, this will be the high school one? Okay. All right, well, that was my discussion about that one. I hope that we revisit it really quickly and we get that legislation clarified, okay? And then, so on a 7th grade football coach, we have a resume or something about one of them, Drew Aho. Is that because maybe the other 2 are already with us or have been with us?
Some of them we have experience with, so we tend to give you only the resumes of people who we haven't worked with before in the past.
Okay, so that is the case.
And Drew Aho's resume is attached to a different, not only a football coach, but a long-term sub. That's why you have that one only.
Right, so that's why we only had his information in there, because we.
Attached to different position.
Okay, and then the transfer on number 11 from North Star to Laurentian, isn't that really necessarily a right of assignment of a school district? The board doesn't have to actually vote on that, do they?
Well, no, but I have learned the board likes to know about these things, and the board likes to approve these, so that's why it's up here. If you would like to not be involved with that, please let me know, and we will stop doing that. But so far, we keep bringing these to you, especially once the school year starts.
Sometimes yes, and sometimes. Is there a reason for a transfer? Do we have more or less need for that para at the North Star, and we need more at the Laurentian?
It's just a different job. There was a vacancy. This individual wanted to go there, expressed interest in going there, and that's what happened. So it's not that we suddenly have more kids in a certain building.
Okay, and so in the AFSCME contract, is there a process? I think there used to be that when the job is open and you go 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 or 4 people that
Nope.
first have the choice?
Yep.
Okay, it went through that process that everybody
Yep,
had?
so if there's an internal posting, a job that's open, we typically let internal people know about it, and they can tell us whether they're interested or not interested in the position.
And that happened in this case?
Yep,
About it, everybody had the opportunity to request the transfer? Is that a yes?
yes.
Okay. All right. Those are my questions. And then this is just a general thing for resignations. Sometimes we have lots of resignations in just one meeting, but just a suggestion is that when people resign or they leave, having an exit interview and maybe finding out, just like students, when students leave, do we do that? And if we don't, I think we should. And we should also extend that to students that leave our district. And that would be, I think that would be very insightful for us to do.
Are you talking 420, 421, 422 all at the same time?
Yeah, just in general, plus students who leave,
I just know 422 had retired. She came out of retirement.
right?
Now she just decided that it's time to go back into retirement.
Yeah, whatever, but for us to maybe,
It's good practice to do that so that we have a.
And usually your principals or whoever is the managing director, we know why people are leaving. I'm not going to come to the board meeting and say it on public TV why everyone is leaving, because a lot of times there are personal reasons, but we do know almost to every single person why they're leaving or what the specific situation is, and it's all over the board.
I know, but just to take some inventory of reasons, if there's some common denominator, especially with students. If we know that they want to go to PSEO or they're, whatever, there's a transportation issue or whatever, I think just, it's good. It's good data for us to know. Okay?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Lotiger, support by Director Yuhan. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
It was the
Actually,
opposite
yeah.
way. It was Yuhan up, seconded by Lotiger. That's a-
Lotiger
Because
made the
I-
motion.
Well, actually, sorry,
John,
because I wanted to talk about
Yeah.
4.8.
I made the motion
So,
and you
yes.
supported. That is correct.
Okay. All right, so we have-
Brenda.
you must be really shook up that the Vikings got throttled yesterday.
I don't think 4
Not as bad
points
as,
is
not as
throttle.
bad as the Dolphins. All right, so let's move on. Reports, item 5. Talk about the due bid auction at the Gilbert School. Speaking of,
Mr. Willie Speltz.
you didn't put your name on it.
To protect the innocent.
Oh, yeah. Oh. I guess it is at the bottom.
At the last meeting, you told us to go forward and start the auction, so they were in there today. Stickering items, you'll hear that statement a lot. That's what do bid does. They go in and they sticker items, they record what the item is, they take a picture, and then eventually they get it online. There's the dates, September 25 through 28. And then on October 5, 6, they feel they'll be done and have everything up and running, and it will run through about October 5, 6. Stacy will get it out there right away. She's on the email list with us. October 5 and 6, that's when we'll kick the email or the web address out there, and everybody can go on and do their bidding like they did at Virginia through October 17, 18. And you can see that the mandatory pickup dates are October 19 and 20. Come to the Gilbert campus and pick up the item you bid on. We don't take stuff out, we don't carry it out for them, they know that, DoBid takes care of all of that, just like we've already done. This is a repeat, just a different building.
All right.
Great, thank you.
Questions?
Thank you, Willie.
Yeah, I have just some discussion though. Something has come up since we voted to go to do bid with that, and it might relate, John, to what you want to talk about later, that there seems to be a developer interested in the Gilbert School and/or the Evelyn campus too. And if there's something that works out and that's viable or whatever, and it happens, I'm concerned about things like we talked about doors and framing, molding and this and that, and some of those things that are fixtures in a building and attached. And that if that happens, that's going to devalue the building for somebody who might be interested in buying it. So I don't know, I'm kind of wondering if that part of the do bid auction, or maybe anything else in there, tables, chairs, I don't even know what else, is going to be labeled and stickered. I have a concern about fixtures and things attached, that kind of thing. So I'm wondering if we should not eliminate that, but we're in a time crunch too, but we do have a potential developer. We all got a letter as a school board, and I'm sure you got it too, and I don't know what John's conversation is about the situation, but
I mean, it's a letter from a gentleman that's had many, many years to try to pitch the purchase of that building, you know. These people ain't contacting our school. I mean, there was a letter from somebody saying somebody's interested. Has anybody, Noel, have you?
They are so interested in the Gilbert building that they have not contacted me as of right before when I came and sat down.
So it's all hearsay from that?
It's all hearsay.
Okay.
well, I think you'll be getting a call tomorrow from Aaron.
We got to continue to proceed forward.
Yeah, we have to go forward.
I've also gotten complaints about shenanigans going on in that building, so we need to.
Lots of police calls.
Yeah, we need to keep moving forward.
I'm just kind of concerned if I were buying a house and then somebody was going to be taking things, you know, the structural parts of something that,
People in Gilbert have said very resoundingly that they do not want that building standing.
unless we find a use for it. All I'm saying is, I'm for going through with a do bid auction. Let's not be ripping things off the walls as part of a building is all I'm concerned about. And whether this comes to fruition or doesn't, then those things, at least, you know, they're going to go down with the building. I mean, how many people are going to want to take the door frames off, the wood off of a door frame, unless you're going to buy the building? Then yeah, you'd like to have that. I don't know what else is going to be pulled off the walls. Or
I've been saying for 2 years that people want door frames and cabinets and stuff, so, I mean, you have. Now you don't want to sell them.
well, because we didn't have any potential.
And we still don't.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is not unusual. It was, in our last board meeting, we said we're going to be taking the building down. We're going to be getting do bid to do the auction. It's all going to happen in a short period of time, and it's not unusual that people will now come out and say others want to buy it. If the person that wanted to buy it contacted us, that would be a different thing.
If it happened before we finalized out on the process that we voted going for, then that might change the dynamics. But otherwise, we all voted to go forward. But if somebody comes forward, then we can take a look at it, I think.
no, but things are going to be starting to be ripped off starting today.
Usually if they're going to do anything with that building, they're probably going to gut the building anyway. I mean, that's how I would do it.
And at some point, you have to start the process.
Yep.
And I voted for the do bid thing. I did. And I even voted for the frames to come off and everything because I was always for salvaging. Because at that point in time, there was nobody, but now there's somebody interested. And I think they've had a successful housing project that they're just concluding in Biwabik right now. So they can do they are developers, and they are in the area, and I think they're going to be here. As far as our letter said, it maybe wasn't for Tuesday, but maybe Wednesday, and they'd like to take a look with they and their bankers on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay, I think
Should reach out to the one.
I think that we can go forward with it because we still have time. Auction will be online October 17th. So
Right.
I think that what they're proposing is that they're just going to get things stickered and photos taken. But, so we still have a little bit of time to stop it if we needed to.
We got approximately 3 weeks before.
It goes online on the 5th. So once people start.
It said auction will be online,
Till-
through, I see, October 5th. Okay, so
Yep.
whoever's interested needs to be quick about it.
By the 5th, because once people start bidding on it. then
Right.
it's-
Right.
It's all bad.
Okay.
It would go over very badly with your bidders.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Couple weeks, yeah, I mean, a couple weeks, or 10 days, whatever it is.
If someone gives me a purchase offer,
It's about a week.
I'll let everyone know, and you can take a look at it and decide what you want to do.
Could we at least, though, consider ripping things off the walls or molding or radiators or something?
Nothing's going to be taken off the wall, Polly, until pickup of the 19th and the 20th. So we have until October 19th and 20th.
Okay, so the person who might want that, they have to take it off themselves? Or Doobid's going to take that off and put it in the
Oh,
line?
no.
Everything's in place until with a
Everything's in
sticker on
place.
it.
It's removed by the person that purchases it, just like Virginia.
Okay, so if they want a radiator or something, they have to remove it?
I think Willie had something
Willie.
to add.
Yep, well,
People come in and remove it themselves, but we could possibly get charged by Doobit if we don't sell the stuff that we're saying we're selling. If we're having an auction and we have agreed to have this auction with them, we can't suddenly say, oh, just kidding.
Yeah.
We'd owe them for their time, and a commission of some sort.
That would be a breach of contract with them, and
No, I totally understand and I agree, but see, something came up since our last board meeting and our vote. That's all. I'm just trying to say. So
Got an email.
there'll be a
Extent
sticker
of it.
on the door and the door won't be removed, or molding, there'll be a sticker on it, but it won't be removed? What I'm asking.
not until the auction is complete. Then
Okay.
people get 2 days to come in. But what I'm saying is if they put a sticker on that and they post it online and somebody bids on it on the second day of the 2 weeks that it's online,
Yeah.
Doobit can't say for 37, sorry, just kidding, no, that's no longer
Yeah.
available, you can't come in and get that.
I understand that, but before it goes on to auction.
and when does Willie, when does it,
They're stickering right now, this week.
this week, 25 through 28,
Right. And
auction is,
October 5th.
Once they're done stickering, they're going to get everything set up electronically and then post it.
October 5th, it says.
But even today, they've stickered items. So.
So the process is-
Probably not able to say, sorry, unsticker that, they're gonna leave. They're just gonna leave.
Well, whoever buys the building, if they want to buy it, they can pay for due bid too. We can have that in the contract.
yeah. I'm glad you're here, Nicole.
All right, moving on.
Okay,
Too, thanks.
5.2.
Thanks, Willie.
Thanks, Willie. 5.2 Treasury Report.
I'd like to just clarification on something on this.
On the Treasurer's Report?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the bills, right?
Yeah.
We're doing the bills. Just wanted to know on the socialthinking.com, that's on the bills, is this curriculum for students or for teachers on the social emotional learning?
I-
On that specific one, what's the name of it that you're looking at?
Socialthinking.com, Think Social, Thinking Curriculum, and a Movie Time Social Learning, Lex Poster, Social Emotional Learning Curriculum.
We would have to look that one up.
Okay. Just wondering if it's for the students or the teachers.
So if the board wants, you can not approve that one, approve the other ones, and we'll get back to you with the information you're looking for.
Do you want to remove that?
No, I'm good with keeping it there. I just wanted clarification of who.
Okay, we'll still find out the answer.
Okay,
I'll
thank
make a
you.
motion to approve the payments report.
We got a motion by Director
Support.
Yuan, support by Director Lotiger. Any discussion on any more discussion on the Treasury Report? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No,
Motion passes 6-1. 5.2.1, student rep discussion.
I just wanted to bring it up again because I think it's important that we have a representative from the student body here, giving us their input on things as well. A little more than just attending and giving us an update on the events happening and then being able to leave. I'd like them to be more involved. So if we can get rolling on that, that would be super.
Yes, and I can tell you exactly what happened. We did put it to the highest of the priorities. With the new high school opening, 2 kids coming there, we did. We delayed that, so we will get rolling on that.
Okay, thank you.
Up for discussion is 5.2.2, a discussion on the 1404 building. Mr. Yuan.
So we got this, or I got a copy of this letter from the city of Evelyn, and I just wanted to distribute it to everybody, and I wanted to know a couple of different things. I mean, yeah, we haven't, can we update on what's going on there, or had an idea about, has anybody thought of using eminent domain to try to acquire that building?
Well, since you're looking at me, I can give you an update about what I know on it. So VEDA met, because they are the decision makers. They met this morning, and they did have multiple bids. You had a bid in there also. They did not act on any of the bids that they received. Now, it was a closed session, so I have no idea what was actually said, because a closed session is a closed session. So, but they came out of the closed session, and I received an email later on in the morning stating that they are going to send out RFPs, requests for proposals, for the 1404 building. And that is telling me that anyone who is interested in the building will need to wait till the RFP comes out and then respond accordingly to whatever the RFP says regards to the 1404 building.
Isn't that what we did?
Yes, but there was no RFP. So
We built, this was a defunct industrial park. I mean, we moved the tumbleweeds off to the side and built a beautiful campus here. I mean, that building had a couple of broken down garbage trucks in it for 5 years. I mean, it's just really frustrating that the 2 towns that make up, 2 of the 3 towns that make up this school are trying to maximize the profit off of this. And I think eminent domain, I looked at the statute, if public schools could use that for learning, maybe that's an avenue we could go.
Did you want to read this letter to the public?
Sure could. This is from the city of Evelyn. Dear VEDA Board, this letter is to inform you that the Evelyn City Council voted unanimously at their September 5th, 2023 meeting to send this letter to you indicating the Evelyn City Council desire to keep the building at 1404 Progress Parkway as an economic development and tax-paying site. And I think that's crazy to put more traffic back here than what's already generated with a business or semi-trucks or whatever else is going to be back here. There's already a major traffic concern.
All things that we've all talked about.
Yeah.
It's the Evelyn residents, citizens, voters that need to reach out to their
Elected officials.
Yeah.
complain because it's ridiculous. And we actually had someone come up here and tell us to our face, because we didn't vote for hockey, he would stop the 1404 building purchase from the school. And for me, that's blackmail, and I don't like that. I feel like everybody in Evelyn should be revolting right now. It's ridiculous. Kids come first, bottom line. The traffic is ridiculous. We could use that building for so many purposes.
10 different ways.
Yeah.
That building was.
Makes me so angry.
That building was
I
worth
agree.
nothing. It was worth $650,000 3 years ago. We built
Right.
a beautiful campus around it. Now all of a sudden, it's worth $1 million plus, okay? We were offered the building, okay? Now all of a sudden, oh, wait a second. Now we're getting into possibly a bidding war through an RFP. I don't like it. I think it's disingenuous by the city of Evelyn or the VEDA board to send out a letter like this to say that they want to keep it on the tax rolls. When they offered it, the VEDA
Well,
board offered it.
this was
This is
Evelyn
from the
City
city of
Council.
Evelyn.
Yeah.
They're trying
Right.
to persuade with
Right,
VEDA.
that's right.
Yeah.
let me say one thing. The VEDA board really didn't offer it to you. There were conversations, but you did not have a formal offer from VEDA for that.
She made it abundantly clear that we were the preferred customer,
That is right.
preferred end user.
Who is she? But there's a whole board.
Yeah, Britt Seawood, when we showed it to her, she made it,
It was always the people from Virginia that showed us. It was never there's like one rep from the city of Evelyn. There was nobody from the city
Well,
of
actually,
Evelyn in the showing.
honestly, the reps for Evelyn were not interested in VEDA at all until just recently.
Right.
Okay.
It's the truth.
123B.74, any municipal corporation or district in the state where a governing body or board has the right of power and authority to purchase sites for school buildings without authorization by the board. I think we have a chance, I don't know, worth looking into.
I like it. Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
How do you feel about that as a taxpayer, John? No taxes will come off of that if it's,
It's like
That's fine.
10,000 a year, 10,000 a year.
Not going to be a great amount of taxes coming out of it, A and B.
If we play nice, we have the
played
opportunity with the high school campus to develop that and put 50 or 60 houses that'll generate a heck of a lot more than what this one building will do. It's very closed-minded in my opinion, and it's very frustrating.
With the traffic being, I cannot believe that anyone else would ever want to be in that building. If they come at 8 a.m. and see what it's like. Not only that, we have no control over what goes in there and what kind of people, what kind of industry. I don't like it.
We have the road
Please
to
own
we
it.
have the road to discuss. We built a beautiful football stadium on a piece of that land that, I mean, as you would know, as from a banker perspective, you never would do that. That's a title nightmare.
That's unbelievable, really.
Yeah, it's a title nightmare to do something like that. So you kind of think, well, we're going to eventually own that, and all of a sudden now they want to open it up to everybody. It's really frustrating when you have, I don't know, they're trying to skin a school for as much as they can, or whoever else. It doesn't sit well with me.
Here.
okay. We done discussing that?
Yeah, I don't know if we can't take any action on it, but I just think that
I think,
look for alternative methods around what they're trying to do, I guess.
and I think Noel has heard everybody's comments and discussion here, so he's got guidance on what to do.
And we will keep talking to the parties involved, and we'll keep you updated on events that happen, especially on what the RFP process is.
Thank you for bringing that up, John.
5.3, Northstar Elementary Principals Report.
Oh, yeah.
I thought we would delay that. They needed more time to prepare, I heard.
Oh, no, really. Welcome board. I brought some of my friends, and I want to talk about what's going on at North Star. We've had a great start to the school year. Again, that was a great host for us now for the second year, and Franklin's a wonderful building. And who wants to go first? Oh,
All right.
Jackie Lebeck, our interventionist this year, going to be going first.
Hi, I'm Jackie Lebeck. I used to teach sixth grade science for over 20 years. I have a master's in science as well. And I am very close to retirement, as you can tell by the gray hair. Some of you might not recognize me because I usually have multicolored hair. That's coming. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. I've never worked with third and fourth graders. And I'm very fortunate that I am in a new position called the interventionist. And the first thing Mr. Manny goes is you need to do a 30-hour Orton Gilliam training. And I'm going, yeah, right, I'm 61. I don't want to do any more training. And the first couple hours into the training, I was hooked. Because being of science mind, this program is science-based. Not only with reading that I can use my science background, I can also do this OG, which is basically with the reading program, I can also incorporate it with math. So just to give you a little idea, this is how I start. And I did this even with my sixth graders when I taught science. What do these two pictures have in common? Everything we do is a learned behavior. And how do we get better at a learned behavior? Learned behavior is a skill. And when we think about academics, the kids don't make that connection with, say, sports. Now, when they're in sports, of course, they do skills. They do skills, and they don't really complain about doing skills and repeating the action over and over and over again. But if you ask the student to repeat a skill, say in academics, like repeating the spelling words and learning how to spell that word, they will dig their heels in and not want to do it. So the first thing I say is, have you ever seen a little kid learning to walk for the first time? And a lot of the kids say, yes, I have. And it's just like their face is very concentrated. We go through that steps. And then I ask, do you know how to walk? And they kind of laugh, yes, of course I know how to walk. And then I say, well, when you get up in the morning, do you get off to the corner of your bed and you stand there and you think, oh, geez, how am I supposed to walk? Well, no, you don't do that anymore because you practiced when you were younger and it's automatic. You know how to walk. You even know how to walk and talk. So what does that have to do with anything? Well, it's a skill. Walking is a skill. Same thing as learning how to do your first 100 words. What are words? What are numbers? They're nothing more than circles and lines that we put together to form letters, letters together to form words. And then with this program, Orton Gilliam, what they do is in the lower elementary, they learn how to put sounds together, phonemes and graphemes. So, again, what is the reading brain? As we know, in the younger, when I first started teaching science and they gave us these standards, I had to teach chemistry in the 6th grade. And I'm thinking, I didn't learn chemistry until I was in 10th grade. How the heck am I going to teach 6th grade chemistry? Well, we did FOSS kids. And I taught the concept in 3-4 different ways. And Orton Gilliam does it in different ways too, in 3-4 different ways. They will sound it. They will do actions with their arms and saying that. They will clap it or tap it out. It's science, and it's exactly what I was doing with my 6th grade in science, but they're doing it with words and letters. So, again, which part of the brain does what? Visual inputs. You visualize it. You look at the words. You hear it. You say it. You make that motion to make that connection. Collaborative reading and writing is also part of it. I like this very much because at the bottom, this is where your kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade is. Learning to read, spell, and write requires code-based, explicit, and intensive instruction, frequent repetition. And that's what the Orton Gilliam process does. They're constantly repeating that sound and everything else until it becomes what? Automatic. It is a skill. Just like you do with a baseball or football when you're practicing your skills. And then it goes up into the upper, or probably in the 2nd grade. Learning to read, spell, writing proficiently. These kids I had compensate, 3rd grade, and they wrote compensate. A lot of them could sound it out in this method and spelled it correctly. And there are rules for them to follow. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm working in between this and this. Learning to read is relatively easy. So I'm taking them from this area to this area. And then up in the 5 to 10% then, that would be your 5th and 6th grade. Now, Scarborough's reading rope, this is really good too. Word recognition, that is your early elementary. And I really like this. And then and it intertwines that with the upper, that would be your 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And then how they all come in together to become a skilled reader. And I only did the first part of Orton Gilliam, and I'm going to be going and taking the second part, morphology. All right, so this is what I've done. We've taken our STAR test, and these are our STAR test scores. I gave a spelling test, and then I took each child test, and I broke it down and saw which skill that they needed practice on, and wrote that down into my chart. So it's a lot of data collecting, which is science, and I'm really getting into it. And so again, this is an example of one student's spelling test. and there's compensate there. So this one just needs IRs, ERs, the SHR sounding in the beginning, and then this is their STAR score. So they did pretty well, and even in their STAR testing, they did pretty good. So this one would be probably flagged. They're pretty close to meeting their standard, and I'm going to be watching this student. This student here has a little bit more trouble with their skills, and as you can see, even with the STAR test too, they're more in the red, does not meet the standards. So it's kind of neat to see that the spelling test I gave them was even coinciding with their STAR test. So that was neat to see too. So another thing too, some of the things that we have is when do you C and K? They have rules and stuff too that we are going over for the ones that need to have the review. K always goes with I and E. C goes with A, O, and U. And then the different D sounds, ED sounds for T. So it has a D sound. And then two, they practice writing sentences. There's so much, I mean, this is a huge program. And it entails so many things. And it's so neat that these kids grasp it from that kindergarten age and stuff, and to see them actually sounding it out and thinking. They're stopping and thinking. It's wonderful. And then when they're writing their sentences, they have something called cups. That means, are they capitalizing? Does their sentence make sense? Do they put a punctuation mark? Is their spelling correct? And so I'm going to stick around, Mr. Reardon, until 6th grade, maybe a little bit longer, maybe. But I want to see how these 3rd grade kids go through 3rd through 6th grade in the building that I'm in. I'm really excited. And I haven't been this excited for a long time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell she's excited.
And I'm old.
Yep. Now Ms. Kelly Voss.
Hi there. I did just write something down to read, if that's okay. All right. Directors, thank you for allowing me to present here today. I would also like to thank Scott Manning for asking me to come speak. Although I am new to the North Star, Scott Manning has welcomed me into the building very quickly and has made it clear to me that he wants to collaborate with teachers and appreciates all that we bring to the North Star. My first impressions are that the North Star is a place where staff and students engage in an environment of reciprocal teaching and learning. Mr. Manning asked me to come to discuss reading within the North Star 3rd grade, and specifically how I and my fellow teachers are incorporating student goal setting and progress monitoring to get our students excited and invested in their learning. It is important to mention that the teachers at the North Star are wholly dedicated to goal setting themselves. Through collaborative efforts with Dr. Schmidt, Mr. Manning has also begun the process of helping teachers formulate their own professional goals. Currently, teachers are considering goals that they can develop for student academic outcomes, professional educator development, and project-based learning. In a way, this gives teachers the opportunity to model the goal setting process and progress monitoring process for their students. Some background on me is that I have had formal training in the Oregon-Gillingham approach as well as a master's of literacy, which is why Mr. Manning recruited me to the North Star to further assist his team of dedicated teachers in closing the achievement gap. As Jackie LeBeck is here to give you some information on the Oregon-Gillingham approach, I will focus more on student goal setting. However, before I begin, I must say collaborating with Mrs. LeBeck has been very exciting. Her dedication to the program and enthusiasm is contagious.
And you're a former student.
As a 3rd grade team, we have discussed ways to motivate our students and get them invested in their own learning, especially as we begin North Star's transition into a new building. Explicitly teaching students how to set, monitor, and reflect on personal learning goals is one such way we see ourselves fostering student independence and a lifelong love of learning. This year, 3rd grade students at the North Star will be given many opportunities to observe learning targets and examine the role they play in their academic journey. Why is goal setting important for young learners? Goal setting allows students to take on a more active role in the classroom. It allows students to take ownership of their own learning and makes their learning visible to school stakeholders such as yourselves. Furthermore, goal setting supports the development of metacognitive processes. These processes can be described as thinking about thinking. When students consider their own thinking, they are more likely to develop a mindset that focuses on growth. Note that goals should be developed according to the acronym SMART. They should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. Early learners will need much teacher support and collaboration when it comes to developing goals that meet this criteria. With this in mind, the third grade team has considered how goal setting can aid in closing the achievement gap in reading. So this is one thing I am doing in my classroom. This is I call it a fluency goal sheet. And fluency is the rate and the accuracy at which one reads. At the end of third grade, students should be reading about between 112 and 117 words per minute, correct? So I had a conference with each of my students individually. Here they wrote their goal. I talked to them about where they currently are with their reading fluency, and I helped them develop a goal that reflects where they should kind of be towards the end of the year. And so this student wrote in their goal, by the end of the year, I will read 120 words per minute, correct? And then on the side, I had the student write the strategies she would use to help her achieve her fluency goal. And she wrote she's going to read over and over, practice hard words, and she's going to read to her snake at night. And then because we don't want to publicly display progress, this is kind of like a little privacy sheet. But if you come to the North Star, feel free to lift these up and peek under them. It's at adult height, so the kids can't look under them. But it has the graph of the students' progress, and I'm going to help the students graph their progress over time. And it'll be a good way to incorporate math and graphing skills, but it'll allow them to actually see their growth over time. Other readings, oops, I'm just gonna leave that. Other reading skills students can set goals for include high-frequency word recognition, reading volume, and sound spelling mastery. As you circulate the North Star third grade, you may see goal setting in the following ways, such as this fluency example, AR quiz challenges, sound spelling card routines, and reading level checks. Furthermore, you will also see goal setting in mathematics. A common goal to track in third grade is the memorization of multiplication facts. We might all remember that. For this, I brought an example of a fun way to get students excited and invested in goal setting. So here, I'm just being a little silly. I have math ninjas, and as the students progress in the timetables, you can change their ninja's belt. So for example, if they master their times zeros, you give them the times zero belt, or if they master their times ones, you give them the times one belt. And it's just a fun way for them to see where they are, but also understand where they need to go. So I did make you all a ninja. I'm gonna be very disappointed if a teacher already gave you these.
We have not gotten one.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I made one for you too. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. So,
Put that in the van.
in summary, since the benefits of student goal setting is covered in such a large body of research, we are constantly relying on each other to reteach, relearn, and translate it into third grade. I greatly appreciate the expertise of my fellow third grade teachers, Jody Smith, Ashley Tikkanen, and Samantha Andrews. They are true mentors, collaborative teammates, and above all else, incredible teachers. They have made my transition into the third grade easy, and it is clear that they are extremely dedicated to the success of the North Star and its students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I got myself.
Now we have Eli Little, who's also a former Lubec
Oh
student.
yeah, can't you tell?
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Eli Little. I'm a 5th grade teacher at North Star Elementary, and my principal, Mr. Manny, asked me to share a little information about how I'm incorporating project-based learning and what I would consider somewhat of like a junior model of career academy style learning in my classroom. Each year in my class, I teach what I call market, and during market, I treat each student as if they're an employee of mine, so they can start to feel the responsibilities and pride that comes with having a career as an adult. I pay each student a starting wage of $100 per day, and each Friday is payday. And it's also when their bills are due. It's $100 a week until the snow falls, then it's $150. Fuel oil or something. We keep track of their finances as a class to see how each other manage their money kind of compared to themselves, and it also prevents any elementary embezzlement. And this year was the first week, or this year during the first week of school, I hand wrote them a letter, essentially drafting them into their position in what I call little carpentry, and I have a copy of the letter here. It says, "Dear student of Mr. Little's 5th grade class, on this day, September 8th, 2023, you are being involuntarily recruited to serve little carpentry until further notice. During your time of service, you will be working on various projects, doing any job that needs to be done to help and serve any person or group who is in need. In times when no help is needed, you will be bettering yourself by working to gain the best education available to you. I, Mr. Little, will be paying you $100 per day during your time of service, and at the end of trimester 1, you will be receiving an increase in pay based on your efforts and behavior. Those who work hard and are respectful to all will make up to $200 per day next trimester. I look forward to leading you in this time of service. You are doing a good thing for yourself and your community. Truly, Mr. Little." And today we actually finished up our first project that we've gotten this year. A few weeks ago, Mr. Hammer, the business education teacher and DECA advisor in high school, had reached out to the Rockridge Elementary schools asking for assistance in creating mini golf holes and obstacles for the high school kids to use during their homecoming events this week. I tied this project to our 5th grade standards by having the kids write a short paper about their favorite mini golf hole that they have ever seen, creating a rough draft illustration of that hole. We practiced going green by using exclusively recycled materials, and they have gained an understanding of how investing their earned classroom money can ultimately come back to them in a bonus paycheck when I purchased their finished product today. Some groups made up to $1,000, some groups made $7, but everybody learned the collaboration and hard work benefit.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eli.
No ninjas.
The North Star. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manny.
Up next, Superintendent Smith.
I gotta get my ninja up there. There we go. Okay. My ninja learner.
1404 building, if you want to, maybe, is there anything other in depth you want to discuss?
I'll cover that. Okay, superintendent's report. One thing I want to make the board note, it is, in addition to Ninja Learner Week, it is, and so we have, the high school has changed some of their, how they vote for king and queen. That's kind of the traditional way to do it. And so I got to say that the high school did this well. This came from the students, the staff, and the teachers and admin. They have talked about this because remember, there's 2 different high schools coming together. This is the first year they're together. So who better to talk about this than the students? So the student council talked about what do we want to do during homecoming week? What are we going to do about coronation? Are we going to do what we've always done? What are we going to do? And they said, we want to do it differently. We want to recognize more students. We want to have more opportunities. We don't want to just crown 1, 2 people. So they voted to change it to a homecoming court, per se, so there were 10. So they had a process for winnowing it down, and then they voted for 10 students, and these are the 10 students who best exemplify being a Wolverine. So it just wasn't a popularity contest. Those kids who bet you had to best exemplify a Wolverine. Nobody knows who the number 1 vote getter is. Nobody knows who the 10 vote getter is. It was just 10. So that's what's different about the process this year, and that came from the students, and I think that was exactly what we want kids to be doing, making decisions and helping their own building to make things go better. So I just want to let the board know about that change. And then, of course, we have the traditional, we have the volleyball games, football game coming up. They were talking about a bonfire. I know there's a whole bunch of other activities coming up that'll all be, we can resonate with, and they'll look like, that hasn't really changed in 50 years. That's still what they did back then. It's still there. So a lot of those traditional activities are still there. So I know you've got some other things to talk about down the road, so I'm shortening my superintendent report to leave at that. You already talked about the 1404 building. We don't need to talk about that one anymore, and you got policies coming up, so I'll leave it unless board members have questions.
On the top 10 student count for whatever it's called, do we have different numbers of male and female, boys and girls, as far as in the top 10? Or is it just?
Top 10.
It could be any. Any.
Looked like it was 5 and 5.
It was.
5 boys and 5 girls.
Okay. Do you know what that criteria was? Best Wolverine context, huh?
The student direct.
That's what the students wanted.
It's exemplified of Wolverine.
Mhm.
There has to be some kind of a Wolverine ideal. Or was it whatever I thought the best Wolverine context was, that's what I voted on? I'm just curious, this is very.
Right, what's the substance of the Wolverine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is happening in a lot of different high schools. It might be newer on the range. I think it's a great thing for the kids to do, to branch out, because schools are changing rapidly. They're just not what they were in 1960. They're not what they were in 1990. And if we want our kids to be responsible, we want them to make decision makers, we want them to think critically, we have to give them some power and authority to run some of the things that they want to run.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good, thank you, Noah.
Up next is policies. There's some discussion need to be had on 5.4, I do
Well,
believe.
504.
504, excuse me.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out or to look at, because this was a major topic in the last few weeks. On page 5, regarding hair including, it's highlighted, regarding hair including but not limited to hair texture, hairstyles such as braids, locks, and twists. What I'm understanding from the policy is that the policy is trying to accommodate students for self-expression. And what this is saying is that this is allowed.
Yes.
Correct.
So I just wanted to make that clarification because it was not looking that way.
Well, that was just because it was a mistake.
Right.
It was just,
And so,
it was put in the wrong character.
so I want people
Right.
just to know that that's what the intention is.
Right.
So that's the only thing that I had. Was there any, I had asked Noel, when we look at these, if there's anything that our board committee, our school board committee decided to change on the policy committee, if we could have that written in a different color, because otherwise it looks like typically red is the MSBA's recommendations, and so we don't know what's the MSBA recommendations and what's the policy committee's recommendations. And I think that that can be confusing at times. And like I've said before, you know, they have their attorneys looking at things, and I don't want to be making changes that could impact us legally.
Yep, so Stacy and I talked before the meeting, and in the future, when you see them, if the committee is recommending any changes, you will see it in a different color than what the MSB attorneys might be suggesting or recommending.
So
tonight, we can tell you what the changes were that the committee.
So was there any committee recommendations to 504?
I don't think so, was there? Or
Did we just?
Or did we want, because we wanted to make sure that it
Flowed better?
appropriate, yeah, the
It
wording
was
is
the word
better.
appropriate, but there were no significant
Yeah.
changes. And I will say this, the committee did, I mean, we were there almost two and a half hours. So the committee did spend a lot of time talking about these policies.
Okay.
We basically just took the MSBA newly recommended language. It was much longer than our old policy. And then they have a chart and a graph about, how high, how low, and inches and stuff. That's what we basically did. We adopted their new recommendation. Right?
Correct.
Okay. So you're good with 504, Brandy?
So the picture of the person,
That was from the state MSBA, yeah.
okay, and the administration is recommending the same thing.
I'm not going to say, however, that all students are going to be happy.
Well, I just know,
This is a proverbial battle that teachers and staff always have, as what is appropriate to wear to school, where are the shorts, where's the top. So this will hopefully help clarify that.
I just want to throw out there that there was some discussion about, I've had some teachers talk to me about the midriff part of, the way kids are dressing today, that teachers will typically say, hey, that's not appropriate if something is overly revealing or things. But if there was midriff showing, which I've seen lots of first day of school pictures where midriff was showing, that they didn't have issues with the midriff showing. It was things that were revealing that they would make a comment on. The other thing that was brought up to me, and I think it makes a great point too, was short length when we're looking at also some of the uniforms have shorter length. So it's just some things that were brought up that people, I thought, well, that's kind of a good point. But if this is going through administration and it's going through MSBA and this is a recommendation that's being made, then I can jump.
I honestly have the same kind of reservations because my own daughter wears some short things and she's a very conservative girl. She's just 5'10". She's tall and things are very short on her. But what I've been told, and I know, is that most teachers don't make issues of it unless it's very
Revealing or inappropriate.
right.
But like I said, if this is what administration is recommending and this is MSBA's policy, then I can jump on board with that. But that
So
they had some good points.
So on 504, or on 6.1, we look for a motion to approve 5.4, correct?
504.
I mean, 504.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Director,
I second it.
support by Westby. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to 6.2, 515. To speak to that?
I'll make a motion to accept 515.
I'd support.
Director Yuhan, support,
No, backwards.
Director Laliger, support by Director Yuhan. Any discussion on 515?
Was there changes to, wholesale changes to 515?
I do believe we made some changes and made it just a little bit more stricter about what kind of personal information is available.
Okay.
And that was on directory information. Someone is asking for directory information. There are certain things you cannot provide. There are certain things you can provide, and you have some options on what to provide. So the recommendation, after a long discussion from your committee, is to give them less information, a little bit less information. And that's actually rather common for school boards to do on directory information. That's not unusual at all.
Any more discussion on 6.2?
I'll make a motion.
It's already been a motion by Director Lotiger and support by Director Yuhan. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 6.2, 6.3, 520 student surveys.
I would like to have a discussion on that.
Okay.
My understanding is the policy committee adjusted C under number 3, student surveys in general, and made it state is notified and agrees in student surveys, and I don't agree with that. I think it should continue to be that they have the option to opt out of a survey.
Yeah.
Because there is grant funding that is connected to, and example, I think we're going to be talking about PCN grant stuff, or it was on our agenda today too, somewhere. And I believe that that is influenced by students that are taking the Minnesota Student Survey, and the data that is collected from that drives grant funding. So I don't agree with that change.
Do you want to speak to that, or what we kind of decided, or?
Hey, go ahead.
The committee talked about it for a long time. There were pros and cons to it. There were differences of opinion as far as what to go with that. But the committee felt that parents should be opting in rather than automatically get the survey. So right now, if there's a survey going on, if a parent doesn't want their child to take the survey, then their child doesn't have to.
And how often has that happened, that a parent has opted a student out of taking that survey? Because personally, I believe that the majority of people are okay with their student taking the Minnesota Student Survey and other surveys. They're okay with it and they're comfortable with it. So I don't want to make a change based on just a few people that might not want their child to take it.
I also, my reluctance to make this change is we're changing MSBA, and it's just more for parents to do. So now,
Not necessarily. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm just going to say what we were going to do. Like, weren't we going to do it like on just another form? Like,
That's correct.
give permission to have your child photographed.
At the beginning of the year.
Permission to have my child, it's just another checkbox. That's it. I mean,
That way,
difference.
parents' rights are covered and it's not that overwhelming because you just have that form at the beginning of the year.
it's, my thoughts, it's just easier. MSBA wrote it this way because of grant funding, and also it's somebody, if a parent wants somebody out, they can opt them out. And that way, it doesn't affect our funding sources in many cases.
What funding sources are you talking about?
I just said the Positive Community Norms Grant for one. There is funding that is given based on the data that's collected in the Minnesota Student Survey. That's just one thing that I know off the top of my head. So I don't agree with it.
And we've already given that last year, and it, under the PNC grant. And you don't give the Minnesota Student Survey once every 5 years. We'll be out of the PNC grant by then, so it has no effect on the PNC grant and the Minnesota.
That's just something that I'm on the top of my head I know about.
Why wouldn't you want parents to opt in though? Because most parents honestly don't even know what the survey is, and it's pretty,
Well,
pretty invasive.
I think that that's our school district's job to let them know that then. Because working in a school district, there's a number of paperwork that parents fill out and they just check. They just check because they've got 500 things of paper to send back to the school. So I just think that having them have the option to opt out is the best option. That's the way that
if they're checking in.
That's the way that it's always been. And again, how many people have opted out of different?
How many people don't even know what it is? I mean, I'm going to be honest, I didn't. I had no idea. I didn't. We're busy. We get, like you said, a ton of stuff. I don't think there's really much of a difference to opt in or opt out, in my opinion.
Well, you have more people Director Dahl, more people that let their kids take it than those that don't. And
But a lot of people I've heard, like, I didn't even know what this survey was. At least if they're checking a box that I'm opting in, you can say, well, you read it, you did read it, you did opt in.
and if we're basing it on one survey, what a disservice we're doing on everything else that the parents will have to now
This is just,
opt in.
well, we make them opt in for photographs. I mean, what's the difference? And that's like minimal.
I'm just for parents' involvement. And if, like what you said, Brandy, they just check, the ball was in their court, then at least we gave them that ball in their court. And if they just check, then that's what they do. But I'm pro parents' involvement in knowing what's going on.
I think we all are. I would hope that we all are for parent involvement, and we provide opportunities. Again, we post things all the time. We have every second and fourth Monday, we have a school board meeting. I mean, people have the opportunity to get involved and know these things. And I, for one, want parent involvement. I was a parent of kids that went to the school district. So I personally don't agree with it. And I think it can impact the grant funding that we get, and I don't want to.
I don't think
Making a
grant
statement
funding.
is not true. It's not going to affect the PNC.
That's what we were told by Dr. Schmidt. That's what he told us,
We'll
so.
be out of it in 5 years.
I think that.
And honestly, I didn't even have a strong opinion about this, but I am gonna, I really didn't. But in a way, I'm like, well, that does kind of make sense to opt in.
And it would be a simple form at the beginning of the year. That's it. I don't know what's so,
Simple, how's it going to be simple when you're having to have them have a discussion, have a description of everything that they're opting into?
Well, we have that already. It's just to be another box. And like Brandy said, parents don't even know. They check. So are they really being informed? And does a parent, have the time? So it's just being consistent with the rights of parents, first to be notified and then second to consent. And to me, it's just the reverse of opting in by default, opting out by default. It's just the other side of the same coin.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we change this back to MSBA language.
Support.
Motion by Director Reardon, support by Director Lotiger to change it back to MSBA model policy. Any discussion?
Yes. So all of a sudden it goes out the window. Randy, you've made the comment. Tim, you've made the comment about all the work that committees put into something. And we want to respect all their work and their ideas. And MSBA, this comes down to this student survey policy 620 or 520. This mainly has to do with federally related surveys. Do you know what the PPRA is, the Protection of Pupil Rights Amendment?
You just made a statement, Polly, about Tim and I wanting to go by MSBA's policy, and that's what
changed it. You've changed MSBA policy before. You've changed it many times. You've changed the visitor input policy. You've changed it, and that was okay. But I'm sorry, but you pick and choose what you want to say.
Polly, then vote the way you want to vote, and I'll vote the way I want to vote. That's what we're here for.
She was having discussion.
I want to make a distinction here because we made this distinction at the policy meeting. This is basically any survey that touches federal money or that is sponsored or whatever with federal. Okay, there are 8 categories of very sensitive, probing, nosy questions that if it's anything related to a federal Department of Education, funded in whole or in part, all we're saying is if it's good enough for the federal law to say these categories, sex behavior attitudes, antisocial, illegal, demeaning behavior, information about your family, religious practices, if it's good enough for the federal to say, I think you need to have parental notification and consent, I think it's good enough for our state and our local surveys, inventories, and anything we do. So all it is taking the same idea, verbiage, language, legal concept, and applying it to state and local surveys of this type of sensitive information being asked of our children.
We got motion by Director Reardon, support by Director Lotiger to change back 520 to MSBA model policy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay,
Motion fails.
Roll call, please.
motion carries.
No,
It's 4-3.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't hear everybody. Okay, sometimes you do roll call.
motion fails. Motion fails 4-3. Okay,
So can I make a comment about that? So obviously it didn't go just because Brandy and Tim said something. People have their own voices and can voice their own opinion through voting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, but,
And everybody will move on.
you know, I think we already voted. Let's go on to the next one, Brandy.
okay.
We'd make a motion on this one to,
Policies, item,
we'd make a motion on this one to pass it as presented, don't we?
no, we passed each one of these individually.
Yeah, but we just, we
520, you have to pass
As
first reading now.
Okay, that's right. Okay. So,
I'd make a motion to pass it as presented.
I second.
a motion by Director Reardon, or Director Yuhan, support by
We look
Director
alike.
Westby.
It's a little younger.
What are we voting?
Because we're going to pass 520 as presented.
I thought we just voted on that.
We changed,
Voted on
we
his
were going to
change.
change it, but now.
Voted on
we're
the
gonna-
change.
Now we're,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
so 6.3, 520 voted. We're going to vote as presented by the policy committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
What was that?
4-3.
4-3.
4-3? Okay. Motion passed 4-3 to have the amended policy 520 as per the policy committee. Okay, moving on to item 7. We will do all these since there was no anything else discussed. We will do number 7, which is policy 102, 418, 419, 424, 425, 506, 507, 509, 513, 514, 516.5, 524, 532, 534, 601, 602, 603, 604, 613, and that's it. All those in favor?
What was the last one?
You got more?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
616.
excuse me, 613, 616, 618, 620, 621, 624, 708, 709, and 806.
I'll make a motion to present that, to pass those as presented.
Support.
Motion by Director Yuhan, support by Director Lotiger. Any discussion? There shouldn't be. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Item 8.1, consider approval of quote for the Anatomage table.
Anatomage.
Anatomage, darn it.
Anatomage.
Billy, you want to come forward?
That's the table.
That's a
that you
table
presented.
3D, yeah.
Yep.
I'd make a motion, I think it's cool.
I do.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to
Okay.
pass as presented. I mean, I think it's,
Support.
what an opportunity for our kids.
Support.
A motion by Director Yuhan, support by Director Lotiger. Any discussion on 8.1?
The only question that I have would be about insurance, because that is a pretty expensive piece of machinery, and what kind of insurance policy and things do we have on that?
Find that out.
Okay, please do.
But for the board to know,
It comes with the monster warranty and everything.
Okay.
Is there I'm assuming there's training on it too?
and as far as liability of breaking, once the warranty is passed, we have a number of machines here that are expensive. So our general insurance would cover it. There's always a deductible, but it would cover it.
We'll have a staff of kids who can probably dig right into it and fix it.
Well, and that would be a glorious moment, Bill, if we can get our kids to fix this table.
We need to go old school and fix stuff. Okay, we got motion by Director Yuhan, support by Director Lotiger. Any more discussion?
Yes, I do. Do you? Go ahead.
Yeah, either way. I was just going to say, it's a very expensive piece of it. It's very cool. Don't get me wrong. It's very cool. I just wonder with our budget and the money flow, could we put this on the back burner for a little bit That's what I was gonna just put forward. I mean, that's a lot of money. And how much would it be used by, would it make a huge difference in our high school students, even in their learning, you know?
I would assume it's come out of the building construction fund?
Yes, since you did pass the 13+ million bond, this we would call a furniture, fixtures, and others. This would come out of the FF&E budget. Yes, you do have the money to pay for this one. And I would say you did buy a whole bunch of athletic equipment fairly recently. You have not added any academic equipment. This is the first time we're coming to you with an specific academic equipment. So I think it makes some sense. And the teachers have seen it. They're saying they really like it. They're saying this can really help kids. It's the difference between rotating and seeing something in 3D, spitting things off, finding things really fast, than going through a book or something else, trying to.
Willie wants to say something? Okay, all right.
I have a question. Willie, did you and or the science department look at any other, what's it called? How do you, virtual dissection tables other than this brand?
There are some apps out there.
Not just apps, but
This is
actual
the only
machines.
one of its kind.
I did some research, and there seems to be another one called PIROGOV, Pirogov, and it's another virtual dissection table. And there have been some studies by our federal government, and there's some differences, and there's some similarities. And again, this is a fabulous piece of equipment. First of all, I think from my research and reading some of these studies, these are reviews by educators. Let's see, who did this? But anyhow, so this is a fantastic opportunity, but as I understand it, this is like the Mercedes-Benz of this type of equipment. And the other one, the Paragov, is the same type of a thing. And here, I'll just read a little bit from what I learned here. While both tables are suitable for teaching anatomy, the Paragov table was superior in undergraduate medical education, and the how do you say it, Willie?
Anatomage.
The Anatomage table would be more beneficial for teaching more senior trainees. And so I'm wondering if we're getting, like the deluxe model when for our needs on a high school level, that we could get a less expensive one. And I don't even know if it's how much less expensive, but that's a lot of money, $116,000. It says the Anatomage is suitable for teaching senior medical and postgraduate students. The Paragov performs significantly better on survey items measuring ergonomics, ability to assess student performance, and teaching basic anatomy to junior, first and second year medical students. So all I'm saying is, yes, I'd be in favor of getting something, but do we need the Cadillac model when we could get the same usage out of a different model? Because there does exist a different model. And this is another governmental, another governmental survey is the equipment cost and its maintenance charges may be a deciding factor for the underutilization of the tool in certain countries. I mean, this was tested and developed in Russia. I think the second one is too. And so that's my whole point is, do we need to go $116,000 for our needs?
I would say yes,
And why?
because I believe we should get the best possible learning tools out there for our students.
Even if we might not use all of its capabilities, and we could probably, well, according to these studies, we could, for undergraduate and even high school, we could afford them with the same 3D, whatever, twist and turn, just what you showed us, without having to go with the Mercedes-Benz.
But we don't even know what the cost of the other one is. So, I mean,
That's a good point. We don't.
But I'm not, I mean, if Willie makes the recommendation, Willie done the research.
Mr. Chair, one thing I'd say is because some of the colleges in our area have this, and it would be beneficial for our students that are going into healthcare,
That's a big point.
That test,
You have machines.
They head to Scholastica and they head to even University of Minnesota. Our kids will be already using these tools and already knowing how to use them. They can just soar and fly when they get to college instead of, boy, how do you use this? I've never seen this before. And that's a level one example of how great this opportunity would be.
And that's what we're trying to do at this academy. That's what we want. That's what we're looking to do. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Give our students a leg up to go on to the next step.
Thanks for pointing that out,
Yep,
Tim.
and we have never said we're building an average high school. We have never said that, ever. You want an exceptional high school, you want a world class, we're going to have to put some stuff in there that are high achieving and all of our kids that they need. If you want to build an average high school, we should have done this completely differently from the start.
I don't think that's what Polly's saying, though. She's just like, do our due diligence and make sure that it's the right fit for
Absolutely.
us.
It's good to have this.
Yeah, I mean, that's all.
let's
Again,
vote on
same
it.
experience with less
So-
expense is all I'm saying.
Similar experience. You can't give them the same experience, similar.
I would say
Rather than
same.
Two different, you can't give the same experience on two different.
I think you can, depending upon what we're teaching.
Some will do
All right.
other things.
It's just because of the differences in a model. A Mercedes has a different system than a Ford does, so
But
that's
does
what
the
I'm talking about.
Piragov come with 200 experiments already? We don't know that.
They really-
see, that's my-
You did a lot of
But that's
research on
my-
this and you made a presentation.
But that's my point, though, Bill and Willie, that's my point. That's only my point. There's another option out there, and Willie, you said this was the only one, and it comes that it's not the only one. I would just say, do we need this right now?
It's the only one that I knew of, you're right.
Okay,
Not know
and
if
so
there's another.
I would just,
And I don't know if it was made in Russia or where it was made. I
I
don't know.
would
Who
just-
else is using the Piragov? I'm not sure.
well, then I think we should know that, and.
Mr. Chair?
The only ones that I know are
I
the.
make a motion to call for the,
I have a question, too. I just want to know, like, if we order this, how long does it take to receive?
I didn't want to jinx it, so I didn't ask. But I know that they have them. I didn't want to.
Readily available.
I can find that out tomorrow morning and email you if you guys give the approval to move forward, but.
And this is another reason why we shouldn't be getting our packets on Friday. So we have to make big decisions on Monday. I do have an email out to this company asking for comparables, comparisons, equipment, the costs, what it can do, the usage. These articles, these are from the federal government, a comparative analysis of the Anatomage and Piragov dissection tables. All I'm saying is take it slow. Let's at least find out that information, and let's see.
So we got a motion by
But nobody else is
Director Johan.
interested.
Well, I would be interested, the problem is
No,
I don't
it
want to vote
doesn't.
against it because I think it's a great thing and I want to get it. But I do think that she has a point with the due diligence and just if it's comparable, I guess I don't know. Like, you didn't think there was another one out there. So
That's
Can we,
my only-
Yeah,
can we
but if-
table
see,
this
but the-
until?
but-
I just like, could we table it for 2
But-
weeks to
but-
get the information?
But the point is that the colleges in this area and in the state are using that brand. That's where.
And we
our
know that for a fact.
Yes.
We know St. Scholastica is, but we know the
Yes.
rest of them are too.
Yeah.
We-
I mean, that
saw it.
that is a motivating factor for me.
But how different
We
could
went
it
there
be?
and used it. Todd is here tonight. We went there and used it.
I know.
Todd and Tim.
And how different could it be? You told me, and I saw the other one, you pull your finger and a car is a car is a car and operates this, pretty much the same.
Anything to add, Todd?
I think that's a straw man.
I call for the
The
vote.
audience.
And I'll support.
Wait, I'd like to
Do you
hear.
want to hear what
yeah.
the teachers say?
I'd like to hear Todd. If you have anything to add, Todd?
And then that just ends the discussion.
Discussion is good,
Let
Tim.
the board know that Tim called the question, I supported it.
I
You know-
went to look at this, and when I first looked at it, I thought, okay, this is cool. But I want to do my due diligence, and I wanted to look into it, what could we use it for? Where is it used? What are the capabilities? And not only is the Mayo Clinic using this, not only are all graduate and undergraduate students going to be using this or are using it right now or will be soon. This is what's going to happen. This is what's coming down the pipe. When I looked at who was using it, it got my attention. When I went and looked at the table and interacted with the table and thought about what I could do for my anatomy and physiology kids, not to mention forensics, not to mention health classes, lower level health classes. not to mention nursing classes, not to mention somewhere down the line, do we want to have some imaging classes? You know, do we want to have some engineering classes based on the design of this table? Could some of our students design the next best table like this? Could we look at this? I mean, biology, anat and phys, nursing, science, that's my gig. But when I started thinking of all the other possibilities and all the other ways we could use this outside of the science department, colleges in the area could use this, would want to use this.
Could rent it out to them easily.
And I can't even fully grasp
The
all the
potential.
possibilities with the
Potential.
cadavers and the causes of death and the histology that we can do. And I mean, it just boggles the mind. And I was only able to spend half hour with it and just seeing what I could do. And trust me, I priced out cadavers. Okay? Anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000, and the time it takes and disposal and everything else. This thing, it's what they're going to see if they're going in the medical field. It's not here yet. It's all over, but it's not everywhere. This is what it's going to be. Look around and see, where are they using this thing? Mayo Clinic in Rochester is using this. I mean, if we're going to do it, let's do it. And we have the funding for it, correct?
Yep.
This is not a budget constraint or budget crunch, or the money is there? Okay. I don't know what else to say.
Todd, do you know?
Thank you.
Do you know for a fact that you could not do the same?
Call for,
Director Sorkin?
I'm asking a question of the presenter.
we called for the question.
You know what, Tim? You're using that to cut off debate. That's the second time you've done that. And you ask MSBA if that's a moralistic or ethical thing to do. That's the second time you've done it. Everyone is supposed to have their input as long as they have something to say, and that's a misuse of parliamentary procedure. And I've talked to MSB about it too.
Good.
Oh, good. Yeah, oh, good. So it's another tactic to cut off.
Yes. Motion by Director Yuhan, support by Director Lotiger.
First, we have to vote on, are we going to cut discussion? That's the call for the vote.
Okay, so motion by Director Reardon, support by Director Addy. In discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
So that's 4, he passes 4-3 to end discussion.
Director Sorkin leaves that.
Motion by Director.
7:32.
Let the record reflect that Director Sorkin has left at 7:32.
Thank you for your input too.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. That was insightful.
Motion by Director Yuhan, support by Director Lotiger to move on with 8.1. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for the research you did as well.
6-0.
Thank you, big time.
6-0.
Were you a yes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it was
6.
6-0?
well, it was just 6 because she left. She left.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
She's not at the table.
Yeah, unanimous.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
8.2, consider approval of Evelyn High School 3D scanning proposal by John Saristo, Fulcrum Visions LLC. Can I get a motion? I'll make the motion.
No support.
Support by Director Yuhan. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 8.3, consider approval MOU between Rockridge Public Schools and Arrowhead Head Start AOA from July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a
Motion
motion.
by Director Reardon,
Support.
support by Director Yuhan. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question on this. So we used to have Head Start in both Virginia and the Evelyn Gilbert area, and now we're just going to have the Head Start in Virginia?
It's still there. There still is a Head Start in Virginia, and there's a Head Start down here.
Okay,
So it's still the same organization. They just do it in 2 sites because it's easier for the parents.
So they will continue in 2 sites. Okay, that was my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
With no further discussion on 8.3, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 8.4, consider approval of agreement between International Falls Public Schools and Rockridge Public Schools for services of Tom Vollum, Ojibwe instructor for the fall semester. Can I
So moved.
Support by Director Reardon, support by Director Lotiger. Any discussion? None being had. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 8.5, consider proposing a legislative resolution to the delegate assembly for the upcoming legislative session. You want to shed some light on that, Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, we put this on the agenda. This is your option to do this or not. You belong to MSBA. Every year, they always get suggestions from school boards throughout the entire state. What would you like to see MSBA advance politically? And so this is their process, one of their processes to get feedback from you. So sometimes school boards talk about things, and as a group, they say, we want this legislation advanced. We're making a suggestion that you do this. Sometimes school boards say, we just want to prefer to let people individually give information. So it's your choice as far as what you want to do, but we put it on the agenda so you as a board could, if you want to talk about it, you can. If you don't, but this is how MSBA gets information. They will receive feedback from all of the school boards and individuals who present this to them, and then they will look for trends, themes, and then they'll put it together, and then that's what they will move to advance forward with the politicians and the legislatures coming up.
All right. So can I get a motion on 8.5?
Well, the one thing that to discuss it, this past year, the legislature made over 3,000 bills, which is phenomenal. A lot of them were toward education, and we're grateful for that. But a lot of them were unfunded mandates. And one of them is moving the ECFE teachers into the teachers' contracts. But they gave us no funding for that. And I would like just to have a simple resolution from our board here that if they're going to have an unfunded mandate like this, that they fund it. So, and we don't have to do it. They're suggesting that we move the ECFE into our teacher's contract. Is that correct, Noah?
They are saying they're now officially teachers, and yes, they are suggesting that. Unfortunately, they did not give you any money. And there's nobody who's going to say those teachers aren't important, they're not valuable, that we shouldn't be paying them more. But unfortunately, you didn't get money to pay for them.
And I think this will resonate throughout all the districts it's in the about between $90,000 and $100,000 just for our school. So you can imagine the larger schools, and that comes out of your general fund then, so.
I could definitely get behind that if we wanted to propose that, and also the school resource language that they changed, definitely affecting districts like ours and others. I would definitely tack that on too if we were agreeable.
Okay.
SROs,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep,
me too.
yep.
We can make 2 separate resolutions. We'll have Dr. Schmidt work on the verbiage, and what'll happen is that we'll submit it, then the MSBA board looks at them all, they discuss it, they'll get many of them that are very similar, so they'll package them together, and then in December, when the delegate assembly gets together, and that's over 300 delegates from all the school districts in the state of Minnesota, they vote, do we want to push this forward to the legislature?
So can I get a motion on 8.5?
I'll make that motion.
By Director Reardon, supported by Director Gilbert. Any more discussion?
On both the ECF and the SRO, yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
8.6, consider approval for the preliminary 2023 payable 2024 levy at maximum.
I'd make a motion to set it at max.
Motion by Director Yuhan.
Support.
Director Reardon. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 8.7, consider approval of the James Madison lease for fiscal year 2024-2025 between Rockridge Public Schools and the Northland Joint Powers. Can I get a motion for 8.7?
I will make that motion.
Motion by Director Lotiger. Support
I will support.
by Director Yuhan. Any discussion?
What's their long-term plan? What are they, because they were gonna, and they were coming in our neighborhood. No, I haven't heard anything from her in a while, so I was kind of wondering.
They're exploring at their options as far as what they do. They like the location of the James Madison building. It's problematic, it's old, the rooms aren't the right size. So they did get some money politically, legislatively, and so they are looking at their options for what to do, but they do not have another location right now. And even if they were to have another, I just don't see them leaving in the next year or two.
So not interested in buying it?
They are thinking about their options with that building. But it's the same dilemma we had. It's expensive to rehab. There's lead in the pipes. It's big, bulky, but they're taking a look at their options, see what they can do with the amount of money they have received legislatively, politically, what can they do with it? But they're there for now, but it would not surprise me if at some point down the road, they leave that building.
How much does that building cost our district yearly?
With the rent money you have for this building coming in, and we just adjusted it up for inflation, that's what we've done every year, you break even.
At zero.
You're not making money because we fix it up, keep it running well, so you're breaking even on it.
Probably time to engage them and see if they're interested in it, so we can relinquish our liability to that.
We have, and
structure.
they're looking for their options because we're in a slightly awkward spot because you are a member of the Northland Learning Center, and so you're one of 7 to the district, but you own the building they're in right now.
Okay, with no more discussion being had on 8.7, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Meeting announcements. 9.1, our Curriculum Advisory Committee meets Wednesday, September 27th, 2023 at 4 p.m. in the Rockridge High School Basic Career Center. Do you know where that is so people ain't confused on how to get there, Dr. Schmidt?
They'll come through the front door and they'll be stopped.
Yes.
That's true. Okay, and then 9.2, the next regular meeting is October 9th, 2023 at 6 p.m. at the Rockridge Administrative Building right here. And item 10, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Motion by Westby, support by Lotiger. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And thank you for the reminder and for the curriculum.